Yeah, Edna's coming, and Robin, we can call Robin, she'll call him.
Okay.
And Michael's not coming? He's traveling, but if we need him more than need him, I can call him myself. I'm gonna wave to you like this one.
Oh, I sit over there.
Or I'll move over one and I can see you.
It's on.
See the red light?
I got it. We're good.
You don't have to stay there.
I'm gonna.
Whatever.
Oh yeah, maybe Edna will sit over here and then we'll, Robin will sit here. I don't know, did she have a plan? Like I said, she's calling in, but I didn't know who she was calling.
I don't know, I have.
But he said it in November because it was the last meeting. Yeah, well, Michael's not here that often.
Oh, in town, yeah.
Yeah, and if she isn't here, and
Well,
she's over here.
yeah, but it's like yesterday.
Yeah.
And I do the same with mine, so like,
Who hung your lights up? It was really cute.
in the front.
Yeah.
Oh, they do look nice. They're beautiful.
Does anybody have a number for me? I'm just about starting meeting as an emergency. That's a very lucky one.
A resignation and hand it in.
I know.
I don't know if I.
Janet,
At Nepal.
has TJ officially resigned? Is he coming?
Today?
I don't think so.
Possibly, if you can get here in time, yeah. Edna? Yeah, if you would, or does she text, either way, just say if she's coming. She could be on her way.
The problem is that those outlets don't work very well over there. But that's why I don't play lights up anymore, because they just, they want to blow.
Oh, Judy.
Yeah.
I can show you him. I can show you him.
My brother's, the guy my brother helps, he had a lab, well, he had to put it to sleep.
I gave up.
So,
I
guess what he did?
They're
He
brand
got
new,
2 puppies, and now, I was asking Jim, my brother said one of them is a fluffy. What the hell does that mean?
Like their hair is not as coarse. It's
So it must be the one that's,
But I wanted
with the back.
yeah, because I can't really.
Fluffy means the hair is just like a lab's. It's
Yeah.
hairier.
So he built this little play area,
not, like, I had.
and I guess the guy said he's gonna get stuff for them, like toy, like have this little play
Oh,
area.
they'll get right over that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he's gonna put a little something around it. I mean, he's just started, because he just got them. He's trying to figure out, like,
If you
things
need
to
to know
do
anything Frenchy
and everything. But how cool I thought of you when I saw that. I was like, wow, she's gonna freak out. What do you think of the colors?
I think they're interesting. I wouldn't care what color they are because they're just.
Have you ever
sweethearts.
seen a
Yeah.
Frenchie like that? You have?
They have all kinds, yeah.
Wow.
They have like black ones with tan under their eyes and a tan around their ears. They have some really cute
I
ones.
saw that and I was like, wow, that's interesting. I would never know that would be.
Yeah.
Okay, and I called the company called Fletcher. They are A-rated. I'm sorry, I don't have to set up there. And their estimate came in at 65, 65. We were there last year, we had any plywood they need.
It's like, I was not like,
Oh,
that's really, I had a real plywood,
Yeah.
and then they have to have lunch.
Yeah, they're taking it off. And, but anyway, I had
You had a
another.
salad or soup.
Yeah, already I called you. I told Robin I'd give her a phone call. But then it's not. She said she was absolutely terrific.
and they can't read anything.
Oh,
Do they do
have to have a
fingerprint?
fingerprint in your
Yes,
phone?
they use a stuff that.
House, I mean,
Doing toolbox.
No, Edna.
So it's got a
Oh,
sense.
yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah, and so it's got a
If you
sense,
told
so
that
the
would
water
be-
runs
Oh,
out,
no,
and
she
it
just
doesn't-
walked
you
in.
don't get that,
Never mind.
what they call.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I'll give them a call, cause I'm not getting anywhere with it.
You know where the Pier One is?
Crown doesn't fly
I
there.
know,
Mine is
but the
right.
Pier One, remember the Pier One?
Yeah, I kind of threw that
Right
to
next
the
door.
side.
There's Olive Garden, Pier
All
One,
with Crown
and then
was
Walmart.
that he was very expansive on what he thought.
So what happened?
You wanna sit over here with us?
Only 'cause I can't see you.
Oh, yes. Well, I can send you the, estimate, and you can read it if you'd like. You see all the-
They were not cheap.
Two labors and some kind of stuff that goes underneath it.
Edna just walked in, so we've got it.
Don't go there when you're up there.
Yeah.
They do all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
You're not getting there without his planning by
And I can
like
give you
100
his,
How did I walk out with like 40
Okay,
different
yeah,
tabs?
send me email on
Or
that.
was it very impressive, the young man, he's like, and the kid is.
Okay.
There's they have pet things there. You know, I get a ton of dog treats.
We're going to call the meeting to order now.
Sent you an email.
Oh, you did that? Do you have a quorum?
Everybody?
Is there in a quorum?
Yes.
Yeah, we've got one. They have, is Rhonda gonna be on the side?
She's here, she's on.
Oh, she's on, okay, yes, we have a quorum, we have 4 of our directors present. Hi, Rhonda. Okay. Am I blocking the video? I'm gonna turn it over to you then, I guess we've got our quorum.
Okay, we need a motion to approve the Board of Director meeting minutes from November 17th, as previously presented.
Move to approve
Second.
minutes.
All right, Charlie and Nancy, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Cluster report.
Yeah, you're one, you're up.
For cluster report, this time, what we've been pretty much doing, or what I've been pretty much doing, has been getting estimates on replacing roofs. And, we got some bad news because we have in our reserve fund just about enough to cover one building, which would be like the strip right out here, one building. And, every one of the roofing contractors who have been there have told me both buildings, that one and the one parallel to it on 7th Avenue, need to have the roof replaced. So we're not anywhere close as far as what we need for the funds to be able to do both roofs. They're also going to be doing the flat roofs, so we can talk about that later as we get into the information on the assessments. But that's been pretty much the bulk of my time, has been talking to roofing contractors and reading a lot of estimates that have come in. So that's really all we've had for this last month.
3, that would be Robin. Robin, you're up, because EJ is not here for 2.
Okay, well, we've had issues this month, it's been crazy, I don't know if everybody knew, but one of our pipes broke in the courtyard, which has been a fiasco. It got temporarily fixed, but it's not totally fixed. I believe that the county has to shut off the water, which means we need approval from the businesses, behind us, like Bellamy and those guys. They have to also, sign off that they're willing to allow the water to be shut off to have it fixed. So right now, it's got a temporary Band-Aid on it. Like Edna, we have, like Nancy, we have roofing issues too. I just had our contractor out this week and he's saying the whole one section that's on 7th Avenue needs to be replaced. So that's an ordeal that I'm working on. Our, painting estimates all came in, our assessment is in for that. We agreed upon a $1,000 assessment per unit, so that will cover our painting cost. So we've been working on that as well. I think that's about it right now. Some of our landscape lighting, the pole lamps and stuff had to be, put back up, which, we had some electricians come in to do that as well. And a gutter guy came in to look at a couple of units on 7th Avenue West and gave us some estimates to replace some gutters that were ripped off from the storm. So, that's where our time has been spent. Okay.
All right, well, Charlie, you're up then.
Oh,
Cause I'm sorry, Michael is not here for 4, so I keep just meandering.
okay, so, for the storm damage, we've got a contractor for the carports and gables, planning to do stucco on the gables. It's been forwarded to the insurance company. I'm waiting to see what their response is. As far as the roofing, I've been waiting for one roofing contractor who was more expansive about how much of the roofs needed to be replaced. He's put me off, but now I got she gave me another roofer that I'll try to deal with. Trying to decide whether to buy the termite guarantee from Haskell's or just wait for 7 years and redo tenting, because it's $2,200 a year for the guarantee, and I don't know, some people say termite tenting lasts for 5 years, so I don't know, not sure what to do.
What did you call it, the termite what?
Guarantee?
Guarantee.
So that's what I know.
It's 2,000 a year?
2,200 or
Right,
something.
22.
Charlie, what does that include? I know, cause I used Haskell too, and it's what it was like, do they come out every couple months? I was reading that, but now I forgot.
I'm waiting for them to send me the exact wording on the guarantee, because the devil's in the details about, I mean, Turner already covers our spot termite treating according to EJ. So, seems like double coverage if all they're gonna do is spot treating.
Okay.
So,
Yep.
that's why I'm kind of sitting on the fence here trying to decide what to do.
Okay.
And you don't have to renew it till the first year is up.
Okay.
So.
Perfect. Okay.
And then, so Edna, you're up.
Oh, well, I'm exhausted. I've got a full day.
Then put that in the minutes.
Yeah,
Edna
it's
is
over.
exhausted.
I have some work that's being done to prepare a couple of units for sale, that are being sold. And that's been keeping me very busy. I am going to be getting some roofing, repair work done as well. Basically, I'm just trying to get it by another 3 to 5 years before I have to replace it. But, nothing really of big issues other than just those little things I'm taking care of.
And who have you been using for your repairs on your roofs?
Well, one of my owners referred this fella, his name is, John, and his last name starts with a G. I can get it to you. He is really good.
Okay.
He, but if you want his name and number, I will send it to you gladly.
Okay.
He used to work for a maintenance company, and he went on his own, and he has a lot of roofing experience as well. He was a roofer when he started working, so, all I know is that he shows up on time. I like the work that he does, and he's reasonable, so I will be glad to send you his information.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much.
All right, there's no unfinished business, so the first order of new business is Robin, your cluster 3 painting proposals. So do you want to tell us who they're from and how much they are?
Yes, we're gonna go with Complete Spectrum, and, we were talking with Tim, who's been great to work with, and I think he's also done, did he do yours, Edna, or Nancy's? He did, I know he did one of the other, clusters, and, they were really happy with him too. And he's already sent me his whole pamphlet, and I believe, let me give you the exact price, I believe it was $27.35 23, but I want to just double check that to be sure. So I have that information. So like I'm looking probably to start that after the new year.
To do what?
Pardon me?
Paint the buildings.
Oh, paint.
Paint and fix the stucco cracks and everything. Yes, 27,300 is what he's gonna charge us to get started.
Oh, no,
So,
it's not complete spectrum. What is it? Oh.
I'm sorry, I'm not, it's Sureway, it's Sureway now?
Sureway, yeah, I think that's it, yeah, Sureway.
Sureway, yeah, it used to be, I think, called Complete Spectrum. But no, we're gonna go with Sureway painting.
Okay.
And Tim, I believe it's Tim, right, Tim? Yeah, Tim Woodsman, is
Yes.
it Woodman?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so then I need a motion. I assume, Robin, you're gonna make the motion to accept the proposal from Sureway?
Yes.
May I have a second on that?
Second.
Charlie, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Yep.
Woodman? Is that what you said?
Yep, Woodman, W-O-O-D-M-A-N, M-A-N.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you,
so
everybody.
your next thing is there anybody here from Cluster 3? None of your peeps are here, okay. Consideration of a special assessment for the exterior painting in Cluster 3 in the amount of $24,000. So that'll be $1,000 each, due in monthly increments of $100 beginning on January 15th of 2023.
Okay.
Is that what you wanted?
Yep.
That's what, okay.
That's what we were gonna have, yep.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? Anybody? I mean, there's nobody here from 3, so I don't think so. All right, then Robin, are you gonna make the motion to, pass the special assessment?
Yes, I'm asking for a special assessment for that, for this payments to start on January 15th, 2023.
Second.
Okay, Charlie, and all in
Thank you.
favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Thank you, everybody.
This is gonna be the fastest meeting ever until this last one, cause Nancy's got issues. This is an issue. All right, so the next thing is, I gave him a heads up. I'm sorry. Yeah, Nancy's got a problem here. So Nancy's was a consideration of a special assessment to supplement the reserve funding in Cluster 1 in the amount of $28,000. So each owner would be assessed $1,120, and it would be due in quarterly increments of $280, beginning in January 15th, so that people could parse it out and pay it when they want. However, your floor.
Yeah. We, as I was saying earlier, we found out that we need a whole extra strip of roofing. And, as a result of that, we also had them checking out the flat roofs. And they have a material that they can put on, I cannot recall what the technical name for it is, but it's got for sure about a 10-year lifespan on it. And they can slope it. And the way the material is built is that they start at the center and they slope it in all different directions, if that's the best way they determine to slope it. Otherwise, they'll start on an end and they'll slope it down. It only requires 1 inch of slope per 4 feet of roofing space. And like I said, it's got at least a 10-year durability life on it. So that's a good thing. But because we need to do this, and I don't know if she's told you, Judy had her master bedroom ceiling done. And they put in new sheetrock. She and her husband scraped off all the old popcorn and all that, and they spackled what needed to be straightened out. They had someone come in to sand it and get it all ready for paint. They started painting and the ceiling fell in. So, and that's all brand new.
The
I
ceiling
mean,
fell in.
that tells you the roof is leaking. And so we have to do something. We simply have to do something. We can't have that continuing. The only thing that I do know where Lindsay's unit is, my understanding is that hers is newer, much newer than the other two. and it's sloped, so it's much newer than the other two, so my recommendation is we don't have any choice but to do the two. That would be Ruby's and Judy's. When they do that strip of roofing back there, there's too many pieces of roofing asphalt that have come off for them to be able to efficiently go back in and just piecemeal putting the tiles back on. Yeah.
Well, and I just want to say that I had a roofer come because we didn't know the life of the roof while I was director about a year and a half ago to give me the life of the room so we could budget what we need for roofing. And he told me that the 2 strips Nancy's talking about had to be done this year, and it is probably why they got so damaged by the hurricane. So this is right in line with what other roofers, I had them walk the roofs and tell me, so right in line with it.
And we don't have a choice. We have to keep these buildings in good repair. So we've got kind of a quandary here as far as this assessment for 1120 is concerned, because we've got $30,000 in our reserve for roofing, which is about enough to cover one of the roofs. We've gotten a couple of estimates. The best one that I've seen in the company that is the most reputable, based on reviews, based on the Better Business Bureau and all those, is Classic Roofing. They're very, very thorough on the information they provided to me as to exactly what they were going to be doing. They're using a 20-year shingle. There are some that are lower grade than that, but I didn't want to bother with doing something that was lower than that because we just ended up doing it again. And so anyway, his estimate, not including plywood if it's needed.
Well, you know it's at least needed over Judy's, you know,
Yeah,
there's a few where
we
you
definitely know
know.
that's gotta be done. But when they tear off all the shingles, they'll be able to tell where the problems are actually sitting, and they'll replace those full sheets of plywood to help. And then there's 2 layers of some kind of fabric that goes over the top, and a couple of other different products that they use. I don't understand the terminology in roofing at all, so I'm sorry I sound like I'm kind of stupid on this, but the bottom line is that we need to get it done, and their estimate was for $65,500 to do both buildings and the flat roofs. The flat roofs were $14,600 each. The pitched roofs were $19,400 each. And that's with the 20-year shingle. It will be an architectural type shingle, so there's variation in color like they have on part of the side roofs in our units. But they could begin the work probably in 4 to 6 weeks because they're pretty busy, which seemed like a reasonable amount of time to me anyway. They will have, their roofers will be here, a couple of crews actually, because this is a bigger job than just one building would have done. They will have a project manager on site. There is another manager on site, both of whom speak very fluent English, which is helpful for us because sometimes we have a hard time understanding some of their people when they send out, Hispanics that don't speak English. So I did ask that question, do they speak English? And they do. The salesperson will be here at the beginning and at the end of the process, and the inspections will take place throughout the process of putting the roofing on. They will also have some engineering people here when they do the flat roofs. They needed to know about where they can place dumpsters, which I don't know for sure exactly what the rules are on placing dumpsters, to be able to throw the debris into. They will clean out our gutters because right now their drone showed me pictures. The gutters are full of roofing granules. So that tells you that the roofing granules are just rolling right on off the roofs and into the gutters. So we have 2 choices, I guess, is what it comes down to. Because this assessment was broadcast to all of you as being one assessment for $1,120 payable in quarters over the year, and to go to the reserves. We can follow through with that and continue to put money into our reserves, and then have a second assessment later yet this year. Or we can cancel the one that we have on the books right now, the 1120, do a bigger assessment that's gonna cover both. We can choose to use the $30,000 that's in there as reserves, or we can take a line of credit against our buildings. Is this correct, the way I'm saying it?
So far, yep.
We can do a line of credit against our buildings and pay as we need to pay for it. They require a 10% down payment prior to beginning their work. They're a huge company, so their deposit for the work to start is much lower than many. One of the other estimates that I got was for $89,000, $785, and they wanted a 60% deposit, which seemed very large to me, unusually large to me. So anyway, I guess my recommendation at this point for the roofing contractor is to go with Classic Roofing. They have presented us with a good proposal. I will have it available to any of you who would like to see it. And as far as the funds for paying for the roofing, this is my quandary. I would like you guys to give me feedback on what your thoughts are. If we need to take the whole, let's say $75,000 for the roofing, and I say 75 because we do not know how much plywood will need to be replaced, and that's not included in their bid. They are also going to be repairing, or I shouldn't say repair, they're going to be replacing the fascia on, that would be
Tom's?
the east side of the building, so where Laura's place is and Tom's is and all those, they're gonna replace the fascia on that one side where the holes are and where rodents are currently getting in. And, they'll be covering that again with, vinyl or aluminum, whichever one they can get the color to match the best on. That, that's kind of it, isn't it? Either the line of credit for it or the,
Well, with the line of credit, you still have to pay it back, so.
yeah, we do.
Either, as far as your owner's money, so if we go through with this assessment, this 28,000, because it was put out to supplement the reserves, it will get split into the categories. It does not all go to roofing. If we don't do that and we move forward, and I would estimate, you're saying 75, I would go higher, but in any case, you
Okay.
have 30 in there.
Yes,
So we would take a line of credit for 50,
okay.
and you would only borrow against it if you need it. But you're going to assess your owners for the amount of the bid, plus a little bit for plywood and stuff.
And the extra stuff.
So if you have to assess your owners for 50,000, the line of credit will allow you 3 years to pay it back, so that
Okay.
could be spread out. But again, we have to put the assessment in place before we actually know what we're spending. So we have to assume we're gonna borrow the whole 50,000, put the assessment in place for that, and it will sit in the roofing thing if and when the project's done and there's some left, like we only spend 75, then you would leave the other 5 in there. That amount, though, does not then do anything for the other reserve accounts.
And we
So
have,
that's what you all need to talk
I
about.
think we have 2 years left before the building needs to be painted. And the painting of the building is, as Robin was saying, I believe she said it was like 24 something to paint her building. Her building is the same size as our building. And
27.3.
27.3, I know yours was higher than that.
Well, I have 25 units like you do.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
And, that one was like 37?
No,
30? Okay.
I think it was around 28, 25.
So it's not too much of a difference
No.
on the two of them, but we're still looking at somewhere in the vicinity of $30,000 to paint the buildings. And prices only continue to rise So if we're looking at painting the buildings in 2 or 3 years, and right now they're 27, by then they could be 35, I don't know. And, so we've got a lot of thinking and decisions that are gonna need to be made as to what the best way to do this is, and, just how to move forward at this point. And I would really appreciate any feedback, any of you have any ideas, any suggestions, what you'd like to see happen, because the assessment is coming. It just depends on what the dollar amount of it is gonna be. That's the whole.
You're looking at, if you borrow, if you assume for 80, assume
Yes.
for the extra, if you borrow I don't wanna say borrow, it's not a loan. If we take the line of credit out, and if we only need to use 30 of it, then that's all we use. You use the 30 that's in there for your roofs, cause at the end of this project, you're gonna have no money in the roofing account, but your
Exactly.
roofs are all gonna be done, so we'll start
Well,
funding.
not the
the
2
future.
sides, and in 5 years, they need to be done.
Okay.
So that's something else
So
to
that's a
consider.
different one?
Right.
We're 5 years away from having to do the sides.
Yep.
The full
Mm.
sides, because the second floor of the sides isn't done. That's got old shingles on it. The first floor levels are done. They've got the architectural shingles.
Can I say something?
Yes,
I feel that the assessment has to be, that you give people, are gonna have to be a little bit higher than you anticipated. And keep in mind, everybody, some people have lived here for I don't even know how long, all right, but you're not gonna lose, because it's gonna keep your building money. I don't know how to say it. It's going to.
Value.
the
It's
value
gonna
of
keep
the
the value
building.
of your places, okay? And if you don't do it, I mean, I don't see the choice, quite honestly. I
think we
see
have
that.
No,
that's-
no, we'll
I
be-
don't know
we'll
how
be
anybody-
repairing
probably
water
nobody
damage.
likes the idea, I'm sure, but the thing is, I'd rather have my place worth money than it go down.
Exactly.
Or
Exactly.
have so much work, or have so much that's needed to do that nobody wants to ever buy it come the time that I need to sell it. That's how I feel. And getting a lot less money for it than was anticipated. Does that make sense?
It does, however, I will say that the market does dictate the selling price of the house. And if the market is down in the pits, when one of us comes time to sell, that will affect, even though it's got a new roof, even though it's newly painted, even though all of that stuff, that will affect, the actual selling price of any unit in here, so don't.
Well, some of you
Yeah.
people have lived there 30 years, so compared to
Oh, yeah.
what
Well,
you
and-
purchased it for and what it's worth,
Right.
it couldn't possibly go down to what you paid for it.
Well, and so there's another thought too, and that is that, and I've done this, we had a gutter fall down and that roof needed $5,500 worth of work because, and then I had a roofer fix anywhere that needed to be fixed in the roofs to get us to the year now with the 2 runs and then the 5 to 7 years. We weren't really funded for roofs. I think a lot of people liked assessments versus the funding, and that's where we're at. That's what we're doing. But I caution people not to shy away from getting it done. My ceiling was falling in. When it rains, I'm feeling crazy because what's next for me? And do you know how much it's going to increase the cost of repairs if we say, well, and an assessment, correct me if I'm wrong because I've never had to do one, an assessment, you don't collect it all for the full year. These roofs can't last a year. Mine's not going to wait for a year. So you're going to cost yourself maybe even up to a third more, maybe double for what you have to fix inside the condos that get wet.
And the sad part about
Yeah,
that
I
is,
know.
that is your responsibility when it comes time from the sheetrock in.
Right.
So that means respraying ceilings if you choose to go that route, painting,
Redoing bathrooms maybe, kitchens maybe.
all that kind of stuff. You don't know what it's gonna be. I'm thinking that if we can take the line of credit and repay it over 3 years, that will reduce the amount of the payments. But as she said, we will have nothing in our reserves for when we need to do the other sides of the roofs or when we need to paint.
I know nobody wants to pay more money. okay, but it's a necessity as far as I'm concerned.
Me too.
I can give you the figures if you want. So if I break down, and I did it by quarters, because you want to do the special assessment quarterly to let people.
Well, we can do it monthly, I don't care how we do it.
If,
I just thought it
if
would be less
you,
bookkeeping.
if you leave the fund the reserves to get some money in these accounts, the 28,000, and you add to it the roofing over a period of 3 years. So this year, that 280 a month is going to have an additional $167 added to it. I mean, not a month, I'm sorry, a quarter. 167 a quarter added this year, and at the end of this year, going into next year, it's only gonna be the 167 is all that's gonna be left on the assessment. Because this one that you're trying to collect to supplement all the reserves is gonna be done at the end of 2023. This 167 a quarter is gonna be what you spread out over 3 years to cover this roof job now. So you'll still have some money coming into those, and you will still have the line of credit. Some of that will be paid back as we collect the monies, and that way, if you run into an issue, say in 2 years with the roofs, and you need to lean back on that line of credit and do another special assessment, but you could keep that, I mean, it's up to you, but that would be 280 a quarter for the regular, just to fund, and some of that goes to the roof.
That comes to $447 a quarter.
And our painting reserve has not been, it's so
No, there's like
ridiculously
nothing in the painting
underfunded
reserve
that
right now.
in 3 years, we have nothing really to pay for painting, so.
So we have to dig our way out of this.
I don't think you have a choice.
What, so I have a question.
Yeah.
What about canceling the initial assessment? And the concern is that if we don't take a line of credit out for like the full amount of the roofs, we are using our reserves and there's nothing left.
That cleans
So-
us out.
Yes, it
No,
does.
no, wait.
Why do we have to use?
Wait.
You don't have enough, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say, you don't have enough in the you only have 30,000. You
I'm
don't-
aware.
Yeah.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is instead of tapping into the reserves, which we were told we had to have reserves by the end of 2023, or the state would come after us.
No.
Yep,
They're
that's-
looking into.
Yep, and so that's why
full
we have
funding
the assessment.
for second story and first story.
Yeah, they haven't passed
units.
that
haven't
yet.
passed it
They have
yet.
not
I
passed
asked
it yet,
about-
but it, more than
So-
likely, I'm guessing, will be coming.
But what I'm asking is instead of, okay, so canceling this initial assessment, and instead of digging into the 30,000 that's in the reserves, leave that in place and take out a line of credit for the roofs.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
And
you
then
could
what
do
would that mean? Because basically, we're robbing Peter to pay Paul by
Yes, we are.
taking
Yeah,
our reserves.
exactly.
And then taking out a line of credit for a portion of it. Can we take out a line of credit for whatever the cost of
The,
the
say
roofing is
$75,000 or
gonna be,
$80,000 that
and
we
then
need to
spread that
reimburse.
out over a period of time. I just think of, if we're taking it all today, there's nothing, and so we're gonna see an endless assessment over the next 5, 6, 7, 8,
Well,
9
you'd be
years.
$447
For the
a
roofs.
quarter.
But that's
Yeah.
for the roofs, but then what
And
happens
painting.
when the other roofs need to be
Painting.
done,
And
and then when the
painting.
painting
And the
needs to be
5-year
done?
roofs, yes.
We're looking at robbing our reserves to cover this instead of looking at a line of credit, like spreading it out over 3 years, and then continuing to fund our reserves, and then paying for this, and still making sure that we're gonna have something for when this crap starts popping up again.
Well, and I kind of think we need the assessment now as well to fund the reserves because our painting budget has nothing in it. We're only like 2 years away.
But if we don't take the 30 out of the reserves,
That's roofing,
but we're also having
but
an
you
increase
can't
in
spend
our
roofing
materials.
on painting. No, we should have done that all along. It went up 25 a year with me because I looked at the reserves and I went over the machine and I said, my God, the roofers told me this amount of time and the painters told me this amount of time. And she said, well, you're going to have to go up to like 600. And I said, I'm going to have to raise it a bit every year. I can't pop that much. I didn't have any things pending. And the owners told me, we like assessments better. And I said, but we have young people moving in who can't afford these big assessments. We've got to start funding our reserves. Everybody who's sold now did not pay their portion of their roof. They did not pay their portion of painting. They're gone. So the people left are the ones who have to pay it.
So doing it your way, taking the whole thing and leaving the 30, that would bring that quarterly assessment up, assuming you still want to put the 280 in a quarter to fund all the reserves. That would bring it up 250 to take the line of credit for the entire amount. That would bring it up 250 versus the 167.
$250 a quarter?
Plus the
250 a quarter.
280.
So we're looking at
Plus
the
$530 a quarter.
What is the 280, so it'd be like 500 a quarter, we're saying?
$530
510?
$530 a quarter.
When we were doing the budget, rather than fully funding the reserves through the budget, Nancy chose to allow, to go with the special assessment route to supplement some of that
Yes,
because it's so
mhm.
far behind.
Yep.
Well,
Um,
it's either that or raise the monthly fees to $650.
Yeah.
That's a huge jump.
And there's an average around here of about 600
Yeah.
of most associations. The ones that are low are gonna hit the wall we hit.
You're still paying the money, but it's kind of spreading it out, letting people get it whatever way and, you know.
What would the
however.
assessment be, monthly, if you did it monthly?
And we
instead of
can do
quarterly?
it that way.
What's that?
We bring it down for people.
That would be 25 in, and 55, well, I came up with 3,200 if each unit, if they go with 80,000. If they pull 80,000.
I did your 75, but
Okay,
yeah,
that's close enough.
83.33 a month, 83.33, roundabout.
80.
That would put you up to, that would
83.33 a
put
month?
you up to about $600 a month for your.
For 3 years.
$280 quarter.
Yeah, no, I
3
think
years.
that's wonderful.
No, that's for 3 years, but what about the
Yeah.
280?